You cut the salt shaker. You started eating healthier, and your blood pressure still won't behave, because the real problem usually isn't the salt you can see. It's the sodium hiding in foods that look harmless. Soup packets, pickles, healthy frozen meals, and tiny little sauces you don't even count. In the next minutes, I'll show you the 10-second label trick that exposes it instantly, and the simple swaps that drop your daily sodium without making your food sad. You know those instant soup packets that feel light and save your day in 5 minutes? Yeah, a lot of the time they're loaded with sodium in a tiny amount, and that hits hard if you have high blood pressure. The problem isn't the soup itself, it's what it hides when nobody's paying attention. Ridiculously small serving sizes on the label and salt that adds up fast over the day. And here's the trap a lot of people fall into. They read serving and think one meal. So they finish the whole packet, and without realizing it, they've swallowed 2 or 3 servings at once. If you're going to use it today, do this. Dilute it, add real vegetables, and finish with lemon, garlic, and herbs to bring flavor without leaning on salt. And hold on to that, because there's a simple way to compare labels and walk out with much better options without losing convenience. On the shelf, 2 soups can look identical, but one can have twice the sodium of the other. The trick is to stop judging the front of the package and go straight to sodium per serving and the serving size. If the serving is unrealistically small, the real math is totally different. And for someone with high blood pressure, that difference can be a game changer without changing your routine. A practical rule that helps a lot. Think sodium per meal, not per serving. If you already know you're going to have 2 servings, do the quick math right there. And when does boxed soup make sense? When it has fewer weird ingredients, looks less like ultra-processed food, and you can level it up with real food. When does homemade make sense? When you can cook a big pot on the weekend and freeze it in containers, because then you control the salt and save time all week. And there's a group of foods that seems harmless but tends to pack sodium in a ridiculous way, and almost nobody limits it properly. Pickles are small, crunchy, and feel like just a little side note on the plate, but they can carry sodium like concentrated seasoning for someone with high blood pressure. That turns into a quiet buildup, a little here, a little there, and before you know it, your pressure is more sensitive for no obvious reason. And the worst part is, pickles feel light, so people don't even count them. You don't have to cut them out and suffer. You can limit them without feeling deprived. With a simple strategy, use pickles as a touch, not a portion. 2 or 3 small pieces already deliver that tangy, salty hit your mouth is looking for. Another practical idea. Give them a quick rinse under water and pat them dry before eating won't perform miracles. But it can help reduce the salt on the surface. And watch this pattern. Pickles usually show up alongside other salty items, and that combo is what turns it into a sodium bomb. Frozen meals are the perfect promise. Convenient, healthy, sometimes even stamped organic or vegan. But none of that guarantees anything about sodium. Some frozen dishes look wholesome, yet come with so much salt that your blood pressure can feel more reactive that same day. And because it's ready to eat, you finish it without realizing you just took in a whole broth of hidden salt. The most dangerous part is psychological. When the packaging gives off a healthy vibe, people let their guard down and stop checking. If you're buying one today, make a simple swap. Pick options with a shorter ingredient list that look like real food. Then round it out with a salad or microwave veggies to dilute the impact of the meal. At home, you can build an even better emergency plan. Ready rice, beans, eggs, shredded chicken, frozen vegetables, that puts a meal together in minutes and usually avoids the ultra-processed food trap. And there's one move that solves half this problem, but almost nobody does it the right way. Reading labels with a purpose. A lot of people look at a label and get lost in the numbers. So let's keep it simple. The point isn't to memorize a chart, it's to set a practical per meal target and use the label like a compass. If you have high blood pressure, managing sodium gets a lot easier when you think in terms of what fits on my plate, not what's in the package. That's when the label becomes a tool, not a headache. Here's how it works. Pick a ceiling for sodium per meal and compare products using that same standard every time. When you're rushing through the store, repetition is what saves you. Check sodium per serving, multiply by what you're actually going to eat, and decide. It sounds annoying when you say it out loud, but in real life, it takes 10 seconds once it becomes a habit. And there's another classic trap, things that don't even taste salty. but quietly push sodium way up, especially sauces and pre-made seasonings that slide onto your plate without asking permission. Here's a truth that feels a little unfair. Sometimes someone cuts back on the salt shaker, but their sodium is still high because of all the extras on the plate: soy sauce, ketchup, mustard, bottled sauces, bouillon cubes. They come in small doses that feel like a minor detail, but they add up fast. And once that becomes routine, people with high blood pressure feel the difference without even knowing where it's coming from. One adjustment you can make today is to flip the seasoning logic. Lean more on acidity and aroma, and less on ready-made sauces. Lemon, vinegar, garlic, onion, pepper, dried herbs, paprika, cumin, that delivers real flavor and cuts down the reliance on hidden salt. If you still want soy sauce, for example, the move is to keep it small and stretch it. Mix it with lemon, ginger, garlic, and a little water, and use it just for a hint. And there's a category that doesn't seem related to salt at all, but messes with blood pressure in a sneaky way, and it's in almost everyone's fridge. A lot of people think of high blood pressure and picture only salt, but sugary drinks are part of this story too. Soda, bottled iced tea, boxed juice. Energy drinks, those hit your body with sugar, fast, and tend to drive hunger, constant snacking, and weight gain over time. And that combo raises the risk of your blood pressure creeping up or getting harder to control. The problem is, liquids go down easy, so you don't even feel like you ate any of it. You can act today with a simple swap. If you're craving something cold and satisfying, go with sparkling water, plus lemon, plus ice, or unsweetened tea with cinnamon and lemon slices. And if you're choosing at a restaurant, pay attention to the cup size. The biggest mistake is thinking one drink is no big deal, when in reality, it can equal multiple servings of sugar. And here's the detail that changes almost everything. Not all sugar is the same, especially when you compare drinks to real fruit. Fruit does have sugar, yes, but it comes with fiber, water, chewing, and a completely different pace in your body. A drink with added sugar is a whole different story. It's like hitting turbo mode on intake, because it goes down fast and doesn't keep you full. You drink it, feel like it was just a sip, and minutes later, you're already thinking about something else to snack on. And then your day turns into a stacked pile of liquid calories that mess with your weight and make your blood pressure more sensitive. A practical way to decide today. Anytime you're choosing juice, ask yourself whether it feels like fruit squeezed right then or a ready-made product. If it's ready-made, chances are it's a sugar-sweetened drink, even if it looks healthy. Want something sweet without falling into the trap? Eat the fruit and drink water. Want something with flavor? Make a lazy person juice that actually works. Water, lemon, ice, and a few mint leaves. And the funny thing is, there's a group of foods that doesn't seem connected to blood pressure, but sneaks in through the side door. Packaged desserts, which quietly push your body toward weight gain without you even noticing. Cookies, donuts, candy. The issue here isn't always your blood pressure spikes right away. The damage is usually indirect and long-lasting. These ultra-processed foods mess with hunger, crank up cravings for more sweets, and drive weight gain over the weeks. And when weight goes up, blood pressure tends to get harder to control. It's like strapping an extra backpack onto your body every day. Eventually, it starts to complain. The most common mistake is thinking a small sweet doesn't count. So it shows up every single day after lunch with an afternoon coffee before bed, and it becomes a habit. A no-drama adjustment you can make today is to create a smarter swap. If a sweet craving hits, choose a real treat in a small portion that's more filling, like plain yogurt with fruit and cinnamon, or a small piece of darker, more intense chocolate. And when you buy something, check the ingredient list. The more it looks like a science experiment, the more it feeds that craving cycle. And speaking of lists, there's a type of food that feels convenient and even high protein, but is often a heavy daily source of sodium. Ham, bologna, bacon, hot dogs. They're easy, fast choices, so they turn into a routine. But they're loaded with sodium and preservatives, and when they show up every day at breakfast or as a snack, your blood pressure ends up paying the price. The issue isn't having them once in a while. It's when they become the quiet default, the same go-to sandwich, day after day. And there's a common trap. Someone cuts back on salt in home-cooked meals, but accidentally makes up for it with processed meats in the middle of the day. If you want to apply this today, make a simple swap in your next snack instead of deli meat. Use homemade protein shredded chicken, scrambled eggs, drained tuna packed in water, or even a chickpea spread seasoned with lemon and herbs. More work, a little, but you can prep it in batches and save your whole week. And there's a way to build sandwiches that are just as practical, but with way less salt. Without losing that real snack feel, the sandwich isn't the villain. The villain is the autopilot combo that almost always comes with it. Super salty bread, processed meats, too much cheese, and bottled sauces. The good news is, you can keep the convenience and cut way down on sodium with a few small swaps. And once people realize that, it's like a door opens, they stop thinking eating better has to be a hassle all the time. To put it into practice today, think of a simple base. Bread or a wrap, a more homemade style protein and flavor coming from fresh ingredients. Shredded chicken with plain yogurt and lemon eggs, with herbs, tuna with onion and fresh herbs, thin slices of leftover roast from yesterday's dinner. It works. And to replace that sauce that saves everything, use a small amount of mustard, or make a quick mix with yogurt, lemon, garlic, and black pepper. The mistake that throws everything off is going heavy on the cheese and trying to balance it with more sauce. Then the plus sodium comes roaring back. And there's another choice a lot of people make when they're out, thinking it's just a quick snack, but it packs fat and salt in a way that really weighs on your blood pressure. Fried food has a sneaky effect. It rarely comes alone. It almost always shows up with lots of salt, bottled sauces, and a big portion. And then your body feels the hit as a full package. More calories, more water retention, a harder time keeping your weight on track, and for someone with high blood pressure, that can make things feel more unstable. This isn't about banning it. It's about understanding why it hits so hard when it becomes a habit. If you're eating out today, you can make one change that really shifts everything. Swap fried for grilled, baked, or air-fried, and ask for the sauce on the side. It sounds small, but it cuts out a huge source of hidden sodium. Another simple move is to split the portion and add a salad or veggies, so you're not stuck with all heavy food. The most common mistake is thinking the problem is only the oiland, forgetting that the salt and sauces are often the most aggressive part. And there's a food that feels social, harmless, weekend only, but stacks layers of salt in a pretty shocking way. Pizza is tasty, it's convenient, it brings everyone together, and that's exactly why it becomes a go-to classic. But it works like a sodium staircase. Salty dough, packaged sauce, cheese, olives, and often processed meats on top. Add it all up, and it's not just a slice, it's a stacked-up salt load that, for someone with high blood pressure, can make things feel more sensitive the next day, along with that thirsty, puffy feeling. The mistake that gets a lot of people is thinking, I'll just have a bite, and then ending up eating 3 or 4 slices without noticing. If you're having it today, one simple rule helps. Decide ahead of time how many slices you're going to eat, and put them on a plate, instead of picking straight from the box. To balance it out, pair it with a salad and water, and skip sugar-sweetened drinks, because that combo usually makes the whole situation worse. And there's a way to keep pizza in your life without turning it into a sodium bomb, by tweaking a few small details that make a big difference. You can eat pizza without turning it into a lost day. The adjustment starts with the toppings. The simpler and fresher, the better. Veggies, mushrooms, tomatoes, arugula, onions, peppers. They add volume and flavor without relying so heavily on salt. And when you cut processed meats from your pizza, you're already taking a big chunk out of the sodium without feeling like you ruined the fun. For your next pizza, pick just one rule: less cheese and no deli meats. It sounds basic, but it makes a huge difference. Then you build flavor back with herbs, garlic, pepper, a small amount of olive oil, and a little acidity like lemon on the side salad. If you make it at home, it's even easier. Simple tomato sauce, a thin layer of cheese, and go big on the herbs. The common mistake is trying to make it healthy and ending up adding bottled sauce on top or piling on extra cheese to compensate. Then the sodium comes roaring back, and there's a famous quick bite that's basically a symbol of ultra-processed food. And a lot of people still treat it as just something fast. A hot dog seems simple. A bun, a sausage, a little sauce, and you're done. But it's basically the full package of what makes life harder for someone with high blood pressure. Processed meat, tons of sodium, a bun that's usually salty, plus ketchup, mustard, and other sauces that add even more salt and sugar. And because it's cheap and fast, it turns into that harmless street food habit that keeps repeating. The mistake is thinking the problem is only the sausage. In reality, it's the whole setup and especially how often it happens. If the craving hits today, you can work around it without ruining the moment. Swap it for a sandwich with real protein, like shredded chicken, eggs, or thin-sliced roast beef, and keep the sauces lighter and in small amounts. And if it's truly unavoidable, at least make one adjustment that helps cut back on the sauces and go for a smaller portion with water instead of a sugar-sweetened drink. And hold on to this idea. Once you understand the pattern behind the hot dog, it gets a lot easier to spot the same problem in dozens of everyday foods. Ultra-processed foods all share the same thing. They're designed to be easy to eat, hard to stop, and effortless to repeat. And they almost always come with a combo that works against anyone with high blood pressure. Lots of sodium, hidden sugar, excess fat, and very little real food. The toughest part is that they take up space in your diet without bringing real fullness, so you eat more, and by the end of the day, you feel like you didn't eat anything properly. The mistake that traps a lot of people is trying to fix it with willpower alone. Strategy works better. It's not never again. It's lowering the frequency and cutting the most obvious ones first. To start today, pick one ultra-processed item that shows up daily and swap it for something simple. Fruit, plain yogurt, a small portion of nuts, a sandwich with homemade protein, or a quick meal built from basic staples. And there's a grocery shopping trick that makes this way easier, because your cart starts moving in the right direction on its own. Once you change the order of your choices, at the grocery store, the decision rarely happens in the kitchen. It happens in the aisle. If your home is stocked with ultra-processed foods, you're going to eat them not because you're weak, but because that's what's available and fast. And then sodium and sugar keep sneaking in every day without asking permission. The smartest strategy is to pull your cart toward the produce section before you even walk past the aisles that tempt you. To put this into practice today, use a simple order. Start with fruit, leafy greens, vegetables, and a basic protein. Then pick one or two convenience items, but choose them deliberately, using the label. That dramatically lowers the odds of filling your cart with things that feel like just a quick snack. A common mistake is shopping hungry, and without a list then, every package becomes an invitation. And there's another powerful shift. When you train your palate, you start needing less salt and less sugar to actually enjoy your food. And that changes everything about your routine. Your taste buds can be trained, and that's incredibly freeing. A lot of people think it's always been this way, that they need a lot of salt and a lot of sugar to taste anything. But your body adapts when the change is gradual. And for someone with high blood pressure, that adaptation is one of the most useful things because sodium starts dropping without feeling like punishment. The key is not trying to become a different person overnight. To start today, pick just one lever. Cut the salt in your meal a little and boost flavor with lemon, garlic, onion, herbs, and spices. On the sweet side, swap the sugary drink for a no sugar sweetened option and let fruit play the role of dessert on some days. The common mistake is cutting everything at once, getting frustrated, and then making up for it on the weekend. When it's gradual, your body keeps up. And there's one place where this training often gets wiped out in a single outing. Restaurants' big portions, bottled sauces, and sweet drinks, and you don't even notice how it all adds up. Restaurants are an easy place to slip because the food is loaded with what delivers fast flavor, sodium, sugar, and fat. Portions are usually big. Sauces come ready-made, and there's the drink that feels like just a side. But it can be a family-sized sugar-sweetened beverage. For someone with high blood pressure, that whole combo can turn into a day where your pressure feels more sensitive and you don't even know why. You can protect yourself with 3 simple moves today. Ask for sauces on the side. Choose grilled baked instead of fried, and swap the sweet drink for sparkling water with lemon. That alone cuts the impact a lot. The common mistake is thinking the problem is just the main dish and forgetting that appetizers, sauces, and drinks add up fast. And to wrap this up with a real sense of control, there's a short, realistic plan that lowers salt without killing the pleasure one step a day, with gradual swaps and flavor tricks. Instead of trying to be perfect on Monday, they make a simple, realistic 7-day plan to cut sodium without feeling like their food got sad. On day 1, they pick one meal and ditch the bottled sauce, swapping in lemon, garlic, and herbs. On day 2, they replace the sweet drink with sparkling water and lemon. On day 3, they cut processed meats from their sandwich and use homemade protein instead. And it keeps going like that. One small change, a day, tiny but consistent. For the other days, the logic stays the same. Reduce one ultra-processed food at a time, train your palate with more natural seasonings, and use acids lemon, vinegar, tomatoes, herbs to add brightness without leaning on salt. The common mistake is trying to do everything at once and quitting fast. When the change is gradual, your body and your routine can keep up. And the most interesting part is that, before long, you start tasting excessive salt as heavy, not delicious. And that changes how you choose food without effort. Now here's something interesting. A lot of people try to control high blood pressure by ditching the salt shaker, and still don't see the improvement they expected, because most of the time, the problem isn't the salt you can see, it's the hidden sodium in everyday things that look convenient, healthy, or harmless. And once you see that, you can start today with one simple swap that changes the direction of your week no-crash diets and no living hungry. The core belief here is simple. The people who win their routine aren't the ones with endless willpower. They're the ones with a clear plan at the grocery store, at restaurants, and at home. And the detail almost nobody notices is how sugary drinks and ultra-processed foods push your body into a cycle of hunger, weight gain, and more sensitive blood pressure. If when you feel like you don't eat that much, today you're walking away with a practical checklist to cut the biggest culprits, make easy substitutions, and reduce the impact of ultra-processed foods, processed meats, and sugar-sweetened drinks in a way that actually lasts. Educational content, okay. If you've been diagnosed or you take medication, it's worth lining these changes up with a healthcare professional. The plan is straightforward. Cut sodium where it's hiding. Eliminate what becomes routine without you noticing. And replace convenient but harmful with simple options that actually work in real life. Prioritize real food in your cart. Use labels like a compass, and treat bottled sauces and ultra-processed foods as the exception, not the rule. Avoid the classic combo that hits blood pressure the hardest: processed meats plus pizza, fried food plus sugary drinks. Day to day, train your palate with lemon, garlic, herbs, and spices, so you need less salt and less sweetness. And when you eat out, ask for sauces on the side and swap sugar-sweetened drinks for sparkling water with lemon. Minimum action for today. Pick just one swap, either cut the sugary drink. Replace deli meat in your snack, or cut back on bottled sauce in your meal. Which one shows up most in your routine? Instant soups, sauces, deli meats, or soda? Where do you slip the most? At the grocery store, at restaurants, with quick snacks, or on weekends? If you could stick to just one change for 7 days, what would it be? And what flavor do you miss most when you cut salt? Salty snack, smoky, sauce, or cheesy? If you made it this far, write high blood pressure in the comments so I know who watched this video all the way to the end. And if you want, leave a note I'll be really happy to reply. This content is for informational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice. Results may vary. Always consult a healthcare professional before making significant changes to your diet or training routine.